And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Because all the blessings that we're going to get, which is entailing the kingdom of heaven. Isaiah the 60th chapter, I'm going to start at the 10th verse and read on down. It says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So the sons of strangers, that's talking about the actual strangers, the other nations, shall build up thy walls. We're going to have them in slavery. So they're going to be building the kingdom of heaven, because we're not building nothing. We're not lifting a hand to move nothing. It says, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. That's talking about the actual Gentiles. We're going to take all of their substance, and that their kings may be brought.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Verse 13. And the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, the box together to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. So the land of Israel, the land of Jerusalem, is going to be made glorious. It's going to be made glorious once again. The kingdom is going to be built up. We had a taste of that during the time of Solomon's reign, which was for about 40 years. Verse 14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet. And they shall call thee the city of the Lord. The word Zion means monument, the monument of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breast of kings, meaning we're going to take all their substance. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord thy power, the Lord and thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring thee gold, and for iron I will bring thee silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. And I will make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and the power thy glory. The sun shall no more go down, meaning our kingdom is not going to go down. In other words, once we get back in power, we're going to be in power forever. The sun is never going to go down on our kingdom again. The sun is never going to set on our kingdom. We're going to always shine, and we're going to always be in that glory once we get into the kingdom of heaven. There's no more going back into slavery under the other nations. Esau's not going to rise back up and put us in captivity. Ham, Japheth, Ishmael, none of the other nations are going to rise up and take us down ever again. When we get on top this time, we're going to remain on top. Neither shall thy moon withdraw itself, for the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. So no more mourning, no more crying, no more vexation of spirit, no more weeping, no more hopelessness because of the condition that we're in as Israelites right now. Verse 21, thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. Verse 22, a little one shall become 1,000. This is in the kingdom. So what is this talking about? We're going to have sex. Again, like I said, The 2/3 that are going to pass in this destruction, the 2/3 are going to come back through the 1/3 that make it. The Lord said, 2/3 shall be cut off and die, and the third will I bring through the fire. It says, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Makapdash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. All right. And what I want to get into, this morning news and prophecy, the final war in the making, and what we have to understand, what we're seeing building up, with this tension, between America, the small hats and Iran. Okay, with Russia and China in the background, okay, behind Iran, okay, we're leading, all right, this is leading into the final war, all right, this is the war that's going to usher in Yahweh Shai, okay, as, we watch for prophecy, we watch these events, okay, and we have to understand that this is the main stage, this is that powder keg, okay, that's going to start, all right, this third world war, okay. Matter of fact, let me see if I get that definition real quick, okay, because these nations that's involved in this war are the most powerful militaries in the earth, Russia, Iran, America, China, okay, and it's going to bring in these other powerhouses as well, okay, which is India, okay, and Pakistan, all right, and all these nations have nuclear, all right, arsenals. Turkey, okay, which is going to side with Russia, which is a nuclear, all right, power, okay, which is a one of the strongest militaries in NATO, okay. So what we're seeing with this conflict, the stakes are high, okay. The stakes are the highest that they can be because this is going to change the rulership in the earth, okay. So let's go into see if you can give us some let's see. So when you go here real quick, just want to get the definition dealing with powder keg. All right, so when you go into a powder keg, because that's what we're seeing with this tension, all right, over there in that region of the earth. Now, powder keg, it says a place, you go into the second definition, it says a place or situation that is likely to become dangerous or violent soon. Okay, so let's go here. Powder keg, meaning, all right, politically. All right, AI overview, it says a political powder keg refers to a highly unstable situation, region, or policy packed with intense tension, such as socio-economic disparity, nationalism, or military buildup, that is likely to erupt into sudden, widespread violence or conflict. It suggests a precarious state where a minor spark or incident can cause a massive, uncontrollable, or explosive, okay, crisis, man. Okay, let's read this again, because this is what we're seeing over there in that region of the earth, and it's all prophecy, man. It's all the Lord's prophecy, man. This is how the Lord is going to change the rulership from Esau to Jacob through this war, this third world's war, the final war. Okay, so this is why the stakes are so high over there, man, and what we see going on. Okay, it says a political powder keg refers to a highly unstable situation, region, or policy packed with intense tension, such as social economic disparity, nationalism, or military buildup, that is likely to erupt into a sudden, widespread violence or conflict. It suggests a precarious state where a minor spark or incident can cause a massive, uncontrollable, or explosive crisis, man. Okay, so this is what we're seeing happening, real time. All right, that situation between the small hats, America and Iran, is a powder keg. Okay, and prophecy has it as a powder keg that's going to break out into widespread violence or conflict. If a brother wanna let's see, I get it. So I gotta go back into the precepts anyway. So let's go here into there's some there in Jeremiah. Okay, and we get this often, all right, but it's happening often. Okay, like I say, it's plenty, other news and freakiness, and you can watch Nicki Minaj and Trump. There's plenty entertainment out here, man. We tapped into prophecy, man. What's happening? Okay, this is on Jeremiah 51:46. It says, "And least your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall a rumor come, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler." Okay, so eventually, these rumors are going to turn into, all right, actual violence. That powder keg is going to explode into violence, man. Right now, these nations just been dancing around each other. They make a few exchanges here and there, kind of see where each other at, feel each other out. Because what you got happening with America and Iran, they just feeling each other out. Okay, this is what we're seeing. These two nations are feeling each other out. Okay, and even this so-called peace talk, which is supposed to hold place tomorrow in Turkey, which that's heavy in the spirit that the peace talk's gonna be in Turkey. Okay, between America and Iran, they're supposed to have direct talks tomorrow. Okay, and leading up to these talks, all you've been seeing is military buildup on both sides. Okay, Russia and Iran has been arming. Okay, Russia and China has been arming. Okay, Iran with heavy military hardware. China has, America has been moving heavy military assets into their region. Okay, you have Iran, sending drones out there to do reconnaissance on American aircraft carriers. Okay, and the tensions are high. Okay, so it's a lot of politics. It's a lot of bolstering. It's a lot of psychological things going on. Okay, so we're going to see how these things play out, man. The talks tomorrow are going to be interesting. I'll give my take on it in a minute, because I want to get into it in a video. I got a couple of videos I want to get into. Well, but let's start off with this. Okay. Let's start off with this video here real quick. So this video comes from a news and prophecy done by the beloved brother Elder Yashawamba. All right, so you had the U.S. jet, to shoot down, on an Iranian drone. All right, allegedly shot down an Iranian drone. Okay, and those drones have been flying. Those Iranian drones have been flying around. Those U.S. all right Navy vessels. Okay, and it's also a show of readiness on Iran, and then the U.S. shooting it down. Okay, it's just it's a thing of, okay, we know y'all out there, okay, and then America shooting the drone down is like, look, stop playing. You see, so this is just a conversation between the generals, because you go into war, that's how these generals are talking, because these calls are coming from generals, okay, to do this and do that. So these generals talking to each other. Okay. So let's go to this real quick.
Land. Okay. But as we see here, friction is anteing up.
Breaking news. I wanted to share this social media post from Fox News stating that a U.S. fighter jet shoots down unmanned Iranian drone that was approaching USS Abraham Lincoln in Arabian Sea, U.S. Central Command spokesman says. So that is the breaking news that we are following at this.
So this was a test drone. All right, basically, see, what will happen if we do this? What will happen? The war is on its way. The elites have to go to war because they're being exposed, okay, at an all-time high.
This hour. And I wanted to share just a little bit more information as we are learning new details. The U.S. Central Command says a U.S. Navy fighter jet shot down an Iranian drone that was approaching the aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea. This is a post by the Associated Press sharing that information, saying that there was unclear intent. Now, in an emailed statement Tuesday, U.S. Central Command said the drone, quote, aggressively approached the aircraft carrier with unclear intent, and it continued to fly toward the ship despite de-escalatory measures taken by U.S. forces operating in international waters. The U.S. military says the shootdown also occurred within hours of another incident in which Iranian forces harassed a U.S. flagged and U.S. crewed merchant vessel that was sailing in that area.
So there you go. Okay, I mean,
and what you have, Iran, because what they do, they see how they sent those drones just to see how America will react, and when America reacts, they get free intel, so Iran to send those cheap drones out there, to kind of see how America scramble, and they just getting intel for when they really go at it. Okay, so they send their drone out there, all right, with the intent, knowing that their drone more than likely gonna get intercepted or destroyed. Okay, so they send it out there to gather intel, take pictures of the ship deck, how many fighter jets, just to get them close-up pics. Okay, because they've been doing that for a while, but now they sent this drone to just go straight at America. I mean, to go straight at the vessel, because they was taking pictures from afar. They was already sending vessels. Sending drones to these Navy vessels, these U.S. Navy vessels, and taking pictures, but this drone kept coming. Okay, and remember, it's psychological. So now it's like, okay, what these niggas on? You on the other side, like, okay, they sending a drone. Okay, these niggas is bold. Okay, they sending a drone close. They sending this drone aggressive. Okay, so then America responds by shooting it down, and just Iran just gathering that intel. Okay, they gonna move this. They trying to see what, because when you send them drones into a certain area, it activates those missile defense systems that's on those aircraft carriers. Okay, so now Iran is getting what's being activated. So now they can pinpoint all these missile defense systems. Okay, the fact that America is allowing them to get that close, well, they got the intel they needed, because now, as America is activating these missile defense systems because of these drones, now they're seeing where everything is. Now they're seeing that what this network of missile defense systems is at. Okay, for when they really go down, they know what to target. Okay, so you have that happening, which is just constant tension on the rise, man. All right, now let's go from there. Okay, because this war, this is what's going to change Okay, the rulerships of the earth. Okay, and then I got another video I want to go into. So when you go into this the book of Sirach, chapter 10, verse 14, and this is in the GNT. It says the Lord have overthrown kings and put humbler people in their place. Okay, so the Lord is getting ready to overthrow the current kings of the earth, which are these Edomites. Okay, these Edomites are the current kings of the earth. Okay, but they're about to be overthrown. It's going to be through war, and the Lord is going to place, all right, his sons. You know, and that's why this captivity, this last captivity, was about us being humbled down. You know, the sons of God being humbled down. That's why he has us as a tail. Okay, because we're going through that last phase of being refined before rulership. Okay, so as we're being refined, you know, for the rulership to come, the Lord is orchestrating this third world war, where he's going to overthrow, all right, these current kings of the earth, which are these Edomites, man. Okay, verse 15, the Lord has pulled up nations by the roots and established humbler ones in their place. Okay, so the roots, okay, of this American empire or this Edomite empire is what is military, is deception and military. So the Lord has the prophets uprooting the deception, and Yahushua is going to come uproot the military, man. Okay, so the stage is being set for war. All right, and this is going to be that final war before the transition of power from one people into another. Okay, and this that last transition, this that last regime change as we go into. Okay, it says, verse 16, the Lord has overthrown empires and completely devastated their lands. Okay, and this American empire is going to be overthrown, and the land of America is going to be completely devastated. Okay, this is what this third war, all right, leads to. All right, this is the outcome of this third war that we see brewing. You see, verse 17, he destroyed some so completely that they are not even remembered anymore, man. And this is going to be the case with Esau. Okay, what the Lord is getting ready to do to Esau, he's not going to be remembered. Okay, after he's taken down, he's put into captivity, and then he's completely done away with, man. All right, this man is not even going to be a memory after a while, man. Okay, it only gets worse from here for Esau, man. Okay, he has risen to the top. He has enjoyed, you know, his peak, and now he's declining, man. Okay, and this third world war, all right, is going to finalize his rulership. Okay, and that's why the Lord got into where he ain't got too many more moves to make. Okay, he got to deal with prophecy, man. Okay, the Lord got to set up with this devil. You know, he has to deal, okay, with prophecy, man. Ain't no getting around it. All right, so let's go. Let's see. Let's go to let's go to second Esdras. So let's go here to second Esdras. Go second Esdras chapter 6 and verse 7. Get in GNT. Okay. And then we'll segue to this next video, which they're gonna go more into the analysis of what's going on in the politics of what we see going on surrounding the tension between America and Iran, and then these upcoming, you know, so-called peace talks and agreements. Okay. So let's go here to the book of second Esdras chapter 6. In verse 7, it says, Then I asked, Then I asked, how long a period of time will divide the ages? When will the first age end and the next age begin? Okay, so what's going to divide the time, divide the ages? Well, it's going to be this war. Okay, this is going to divide All right, the kingdom of Esau, Edom, from the kingdom of Jacob that's to come. This war is going to be the divider. It's going to end Esau's age and begin the age of Jacob. Okay, and this is why we follow this war. This is why this is the final war in the making. There will be no need to fight any other wars. Okay, because Israel is going to be the last nation to rule forever. It says he answered the interval will be no longer than between Abraham and Abraham, which is going to be in one lifetime. Okay, the transition is going to be in one lifetime. Okay, it's not going to be, a big space, a space between, all right, the rulership of the end of Esau's rulership and the beginning of Jacob. No, it's going to be in one lifetime. Okay, it says Esau was the grandfather of both Jacob and Esau. When they were born, Jacob was holding Esau's heel. Okay, was symbolic, okay, of Jacob's power beginning at the end of Esau's rulership, because the heel is the end of a man. Okay, and the hand represents power, right? Like now the earth is given what? Into the hand of the wicked. Okay, so the earth has been given into his power, his authority. Well, Jacob's hand held Esau's heel. So Jacob's power, okay, will be born as Esau was falling. Okay, and this war is going to finalize this nigga's decline. Okay, and it's going to mark the beginning of the rulership of Jacob, man. Okay, so Esau represents the end of this age, and Jacob represents the beginning of the new age, man. Okay, so Jacob represents the beginning of a new age. So this is what's going to divide the times, the ages. Okay, the age of Esau, he's the last heathen to ever have authority and power in the earth. Okay, and then it's going to begin a new age of the sons of God ruling forever, man. Okay, the sons of God ruling forever. All right, Yasha. Okay, verse 10, it says, so if Jacob's hand is the beginning and Esau's heel is the end, do not try to find the space in between. Okay, it's a transition of power. Okay, ain't gonna be no power vacuum. Okay, Yahushua is coming to fill that vacuum as he's removing this devil from power, man, in this third world war. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's segue to this video here. All right. So let's go here. And if a brother can post it in Jeremiah 49 and is it 20, the least of the flock? Brother can post that. Bob Shah. Okay. So let's play this.
What was supposed to be another attempted strike on Iran that was pulled back due to the air defense issue, as you said, Scott. But it says right here that to Washington went many Israeli Defense Forces chiefs and intelligence officers. We had Chief of Staff General Ayal Zamir going to Washington as to brief Raising Cane on Israel's offensive and defensive plans in the event of a war. And after that meeting, it did not change the president's mind about a strike. It's really the Israelis who want to strike. The president is just not there. What do you make of the there's been a lot of, I feel like, psychological operations when it comes to Israel.
He said it's the Israelis that want these strikes. Okay, the small hand, the least of the flock. They're playing their role in prophecy, man. Okay, because America is being dragged into this, man. All right, America knows that this gonna be different. You see, and the American military, they don't like to fight people that can fight back. Okay, Their style is a bully. You know, they like to be the bully. Okay, they like to have an overwhelming advantage. Okay, so they don't like to have to get bogged down into no actual, dog fight, man. You see, but these small hats are pushing the issue, which goes into prophecy or the least of the flock. We're going to draw them out. Okay, let's go here. I think the brother got it. This the brother affiliates, loyal to Yahweh, Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he have taken against Edom. See, the Lord has a counsel against Edom, and that's why the move that Esau is making is working against him. Okay, this is a terrible move by Esau, what he's trying to do, what the Lord has him on the mission to do. Okay, Esau was set up for failure. The Lord's counsel is against Esau, man. Okay, so he's set up for failure. Okay, and it says, therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he have taken against Edom, and his purpose against the have purpose against the inhabitants of Teman. The least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate. Okay, with them. Okay, so what we're seeing, these small hats steady pushing the issue for America to go all in. And see, now they want America to go all in. You see, they don't want just America to do a few strikes, and they want America to go all in. They really want to topple Iran. Okay, this is what these small hats are on, man. Okay, and it plays directly into the prophecy and the snare that the Lord got set for America, man. Okay, America's going to walk right into that snare. Okay, with this conflict, man, it's not going to go like America is used to having these conflicts go. Okay, America not going to walk away from this. Okay, so let's play this.
Israel's role in all of this. We were told that they wanted Trump to hold off, and now we're being told that Israel really, really, really wants Trump to go all in. What have you made of Israel's role in all of this, and why there seems to be an accelerated attempt by them to get the Trump administration to strike?
Well, let me just call bullshit on Axios real quick. Let me just remind everybody that it was Benjamin Netanyahu begging for Donald Trump to intervene to stop the 12-day war that Benjamin Netanyahu started, because basically the Iranians had his number. They were dialing in with their best missiles, and there was nothing that could stop them, and they were assassinating the state of Israel. So Netanyahu said, please, Donnie, baby, step in and help me out. And Donnie cooked up his little face-saving mechanism. The Iranians bought it because they were hurt, and they wanted the war to stop. But they were killing Israel. And Israel today knows that there is no solution to the Iranian missile problem. That's why they've said we can take 700. We'll take that pain, but you have to kill them. You have to kill Iran. And, don't start it if you can't kill it. And so the Israelis are, going in there testing the waters. But I can guarantee you 100% that if Israel isn't confident that Donald Trump can carry out a killing blow, they're not going to let the United States attack, because it would be the end of Israel.
So these small heads need America to go all in. Okay, it can't just be, no pussyfooting, playing around, no symbolic attacks. Okay, no attacks just for, the press, for political purposes. The small heads need America to go all in, because the Iranian retaliation this time, small heads through. You see, this is what people see. People have been so hyped up by Western propaganda. They think these small hats is just some, tough guy bullies over there in their region. Okay. What Iran is capable of doing to the small hats with no nuclear weapons. Okay. These small hats know this. Okay. That's why they haven't took their ass over there yet. You gotta think about it. If they so goddamn tough and Iran is half as weak as they say they is, why they ain't been over there directly yet? Okay? And this is what they been knew. This ain't nothing they found out a few weeks ago when they was planning their strike and they had to fall back. They been knew that they couldn't handle Iran like they handle everybody else, man. Okay? So now the small hats is like, look, they up in the ante, like, look, y'all got to go all in on these niggas, man. Y'all got to make it to where they can't respond. Okay? So, like, look, we can absorb 700 ballistic missiles, man, and show you that these small hats of these Americans do not care about their populations, man. They're playing a dangerous game. You know, and this guy gonna break it down. This Jake, he gonna break it down later in this video, man. Okay? So where we at now, we at the point to where the ante is high. Okay, the Lord got them to where they not playing, they can't play around anymore. They gonna have to lock up. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. So this is what the small hats is pushing America to do, is to go all in with Iran. Okay, and really lock up with them. All right, because the small hats can't do it. They don't have the capability to do it. They can't go head over Iran. It'll be over with. Like he said, the 12-day war, they was getting the break speed off them, man. Now Iran was wounded because they was caught off guard. Okay, so they were wounded. So that's why they agreed to a ceasefire as well. Okay, so they can, all right, so they can gather themselves, because their first attack did do a lot of damage to Iranian infrastructure, military infrastructure. But in the midst of them 12 days, Iran had found a rhythm. And then the small hats like, damn, these niggas, you know, they ain't had no answer. And it couldn't keep going like that. Tel Aviv wouldn't exist. If it would have kept going, it wouldn't have been no more Tel Aviv. Okay? Western media ain't gonna tell you that part. Tel Aviv was on the verge of being obliterated. That's why they had to go beg Trump to, like, look, go, you know, hey, get these niggas off us, man. Okay? So now 8 months done passed, and shit, Iran, they done tighten all the boats. Okay? And these small hats know that, like, if they couldn't see Iran then, they for damn sure don't want to see them now. So the small hats is pushing America, like, look, y'all gonna have to go all out with these guys, man. This can't be, okay? None of that drag, you know, nah, you gonna have to go all in. So the Lord got the stakes high with this one, man. You know, so let's play this.
Or expected strikes on Iran didn't happen, and now there are talks. Seems like the conditions are quite different. Anything you want to comment with regard to what Scott said and this?
Yeah, and regarding the talks, I think you have to compare them to the talks in Ukraine for this reason. We're looking at a new world. We're looking at a world that is, well, you can call it multipolar. Some could call it bipolar, where, say, Iran, the China, the Eurasian, shall we say, foundation of the other pole, or whatever you want to put it as one side and the U.S. is the other side. But here's the bottom line. And you see that a lot in the Senate, and particularly in Congress, and that is people that don't realize that they're not as powerful as they used to be. It's like the guy that used to push his little brother around, and now his little brother is 6'4" and 240 pounds, and he's still only 5'11", and he can't push that brother around anymore. So my point being, in both of those, the U.S. is trying to act like the hegemon. It's trying to assume the position of the hegemon. Russia, you will take these. And Russia said, no, we're not. And by the way, we're kicking butt, and we'll take what we want. And we don't have to negotiate with you. We don't have to take your terms. We will take what we want, and there's nothing you can do about it, which means you're not the hegemon. You ain't calling the shots anymore. And as long as the U.S. doesn't put that to the test and doesn't try to force Russia into doing something, it's not it's kind of in the ether, and everybody's like, well, you can't really tell them what to do anymore. But it's not solid and concrete out there. There's some plausible deniability, shall we say. They're in the same boat with Iran. They're saying to Iran, here's our demands. And Iran say, no, and you can't make me. And you know good and damn well you can hurt me. But, as I keep saying this, but the price will be too high and you might lose. So what we're seeing now is that the world has changed. The US does not have the economic. They tried to use their economic power to destroy Russia. They went up against China, and China said, yeah, we'll just cut you off from this and that, and we'll stop selling you that, and we'll do all of this. And the US had to back down. So they're not the economic hegemon. China has shown that. They're all of the actions they tried to take against Russia economically didn't work. So the world realizes they're not the economic hegemon. Militarily, NATO has been defeated by Russia, and they're just cleaning up the mess right now. They're just finishing it off, but this thing is done. And they're trying to dictate in a way of domination to Iran, and Iran saying not anymore. That's not the way the world works anymore. And if you try us, you'll find out. So that's what really we're looking at, a new world where the US has to, one way or another, either adjust to or find out the hard way if they start punching Iran, that they can't kinetically or economically or politically dominate people anymore. Maybe some small country that's impoverished, yeah, they can push them around. But the countries that have some horsepower, they're not listening to them anymore. And that's what we're seeing.
Hello? Oh my God, Dylan. Everyone watching how we shoot our podcast. We shoot everything inside.
Yeah, man. You know, he said quite a lot in that, you know, that short response. So what you see now, like he said, these nations that got some horsepower, America can't push their weight around no more. Okay? America has tried, you know, economic sanctions. The sanctions don't have the effect that they have on certain nations. Yeah, he can destroy Venezuela's economy. He can destroy Syria's economy. He can destroy, you know, these little countries, okay, that have these weak currencies and don't have the military to enforce, okay, or to still do global trade outside, okay, of the dollar or outside of these American, all right, banking system, the SWIFT. All right, because Russia has been banned from SWIFT, you know, for almost 6 years now, 4 years. Okay, and they're still thriving. The cost of a loaf of bread in Russia is still 50 cents. Okay, while it's $5 in America. Okay, because Russia has the military, all right, logistics to still do trade outside the dollar. Okay, and still thrive. Because the thing is not replacing the dollar. The thing is being able to survive outside the dollar. And now there's a block of nations that's surviving outside the dollar. Okay? None of these currencies could ever replace the dollar because the way the banking system is set up, okay, the dollar is always going to be the most liquid currency. Okay? But it's not, you don't need it to survive. There was a time where you needed that dollar to survive. Okay? Now it doesn't have that much sway, and that's why. Let's go here. Let's get a few precepts. That's why those sanctions don't work like they used to, man. Okay, and that intimidation, American intimidation, don't work like it used to. Okay, so let's get a couple precepts. Let's get this enjoy well real quick. All right, because the Lord has, you know, increased these nations' capabilities to fulfill prophecy, man. Joel 3:9, it says, proclaim, all right, ye this among the Gentiles. Okay, so these heathens are being awakened for war. It said, prepare for war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, man. Okay, and all these nations are war ready. Everybody's on edge, man. You see, and it's because of America, because the American bully, these nations, okay, are now war ready. Okay, because if you try to be diplomatic, okay, America just come with the sword. Okay, America America isn't confined by international law. America does what it wants to do. Small heads do what they want to do. You see, they try to make all these other they make all these other nations comply with international law, while America and the small heads do what they want to do. Okay, so it's coming to the point where these nations like, look, it's only one way to deal with America, man, and that's through power. Okay, because there's no other way that you can because that's the only language America responds to is power. Okay, what's keeping America and the small hats at bay from doing what they want with Iran is because the capability that they know Iran possess, and plus the backing of Russia and China. Okay, so America and the small hats, okay, the only deterrence for them is power. Foreign policy, international law, they don't deter them. They break that and do what they want to do because no one's going to hold them accountable, man. Okay, verse 11 says, assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about till the cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Okay, so this all is leading up to the Lord judging all these nations, man. Okay, this is what is leading up to, but the weak nations have now become stronger, more capable. Okay, and it's to fulfill prophecy, man. And ultimately, the Lord is drawing all these nations into this region to judge them, man. Okay, so American military intimidation, okay, it only goes so far. Okay, this is not Venezuela. Okay, people let that little Venezuelan trick, hype them up. Okay, like America just, okay. You see, Isaiah 13:17 said, behold, I will stir up the Medes, okay, which are the Russians, against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So Russia ain't tripping on no economic deal. Because even with this whole board of peace, and Trump invited, Russia to be a part of the board of peace. Okay. But America has $3 billion of Russian money, okay, tied up into American banks. So Russia like, yeah, we'll join, or just pay that fee out of their money y'all holding for us, man. You see, they say, yeah, we'll join, but pay our fee out of the money that you owe us. Okay, the money that you got held up by us, man. See, Russia is not jumping through hoops. See, there was a time when Russia really wanted to be a part of these global markets because they was on the outside looking in, because the West treated Russia like, the black sheep of these Edomite governments, man. Okay, but what has happened, Russia has formed these alliances through China, through Iran, through these African nations, all right, through these certain Asian nations, and now they have a market of their own, or they don't need the American market, man. Okay, they still do business with America. Okay, but that doesn't mean they don't need it to survive. They can survive without it. Okay, they still even do business with the dollar. But see, they created workarounds so they can survive without it. Okay, so Russia not jumping through hoops to get plugged into these Western markets, man. Okay, and these European nations are looking at Russia as a better play for them in their economy anyway. And from a military aspect, they're looking at the alliance with Russia. Okay, because you got Trump saying, he's constantly, cussing the EU out and telling them niggas to pay their tabs, and if it wasn't for us, and y'all gonna have to pay for our security, and he's doing this in the open, man. Okay, so everything is happening, and just as it needs to happen according to prophecy, man. It said their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. Okay, those missiles, and they shall have no pity upon the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall spare no children. And you see how everything leads to those missiles coming to America, man. America being annihilated by nukes. This is what all roads lead to. Every time we go into discussing Babylon and its fate, it all leads to these missiles marching to America, man. Verse 19, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, man. Okay, and you see as the Lord is exposing, the wickedness, the freakiness of America, the closer we get to war. Because there's a punishment. All this freakiness. See, you people ain't you people. Okay, all you gonna do is post memes, and you niggas gonna be on to something else next week. See, the Lord finna judge this place for this wickedness, man, for this lewdness, man. Okay, all of it tie in together, man. Okay, the wickedness of America, Babylon, and great, the new Sodom and Gomorrah, man. Okay, so there's a punishment for that, and this is what we see brewing. Okay, so let's go here. All right, because American foreign policy, okay, is going to lead to America becoming a desert. Okay, in this third world war. So let's go back to this video. Jake gonna get into it. Let's go back here. All right. So you had Scott, well, in fact, let's play this before we get into that part. So let's go into, because they're supposed to have peace talks tomorrow in Turkey. So what do these peace talks mean? Okay, so I'm gonna let him spill, and then we'll discuss that, and then we'll go into the results of everything, man, according to prophecy.
A lot of confidence in their approach to them, with Abbas Arachi saying that the dogs are in a fight. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Scott, about this because Iran has been showing a lot of confidence. They've been saying that they're going into this to only express their interests and only really to talk about the question of nuclear energy and their nuclear capabilities, nothing else, despite all of the questions Abbas Arachi has received about proxies and missiles. What have you made about Iran's approach to the Trump administration's, readiness, as they called it, for talking with Iran?
Well, again, I just think that we have to not look at this from the traditional standpoint of negotiations. This is about American domestic politics. Okay? Donald Trump isn't going to the negotiating table because he wanted to negotiate. Donald Trump's going to the negotiating table because he can't achieve the knockout blow, and he's boxed himself into a corner. And rather than be somebody who's accused of being weak, he has to come out and say he's strong, peace through strength. So he's created a scenario that says, I pressured Iran to the table, I will get a deal. That is the political framing of this. This isn't about honest to goodness, real negotiations, because there's nothing to negotiate, as you said. Iran hasn't been compelled to do this. Iran has said, hell no.
So what you have, okay, so just leading up to where we at now. So it was supposed to be a strike, all right, during the time that they had the protests, okay, when they had the riots going on in Iran, which we know that was motivated by, agent provocateurs of the West, that they, intensified those, protests that was going on in Iran and made them violent and destructive. Okay, so what America and the small hats were trying to do, they wanted to ride their wave, okay, and to strike while there was civil unrest, within Iran. But see, they didn't have, the military hardware and the missile defense in place. So what they were doing, they was keep hyping it up on the news as they was moving military hardware out there to do it. But by the time they got the military hardware out there, all right, that they needed, the civil unrest was quelled. Iran had quelled the civil unrest. They deactivated the Starlink. So they dismantled, okay, the civil unrest agenda by the West. So by the time they got the military hardware in place, because America's all over the place, it takes time to move these assets and these strike teams. They don't just pop up overnight. It takes time. You guys, a lot of coordination and going to that. So by the time America was in the position to do anything, Iran was fully ready, okay, because that unrest had been quelled. So remember, America, they want to go in with a big disadvantage. They don't want to get in no dogfight. America not built to be in no dogfight. America is built to go into a quick war, to topple the regime, to destroy infrastructure, okay, then dismantle the military, then put boots on the ground. Okay? That's America style. They can't do that with Iran. Okay? So when Iran got all this situated, the small hats in America had to fall back. Okay? And the talk was that, damn, it made Trump and them look real weak. It made the small hats look real weak on the global stage. So now what Trump is doing with this so-called peace talk, okay, he's going to make it seem like he pressured Iran into a peace talk, and he pressures it to them into some type of deal. So that way America can take an off ramp and not look weak. Okay? Trump is going to beat his chest, okay, on the news. They're going to make it seem like, because watch how the narrative going to flip. Whenever because it's gonna be interesting. I'm very interested to see how this gonna play out tomorrow, the peace talks. But they're gonna flip the narrative like now. If Donald Trump leave Turkey with any type of peace deal, he's gonna look like the strong man, and Western media gonna play him like the strong man and let Iran bow down to him. Okay, that's what they gonna push. You see, so this is just to save face, okay, for the American military brand, because they're looking extremely weak because they had to back down from their strike, okay, a few weeks ago. So this is nothing but a political, because ain't nothing to negotiate, okay? It really ain't nothing to talk about. Iran, they say they're just going to talk about, getting some sanctions. Is it, they'll reduce uranium so they can get some sanctions removed. Okay. If they can get something, if they can put something in the deal for their people. Okay. But Trump is saying, look, we want to disarm their ballistic missile program. And this is my thing. If America is so goddamn strong, why would Iran need to dismantle their missile program? Okay, here it is. You're hostile against me, but you want me to dismantle, okay, the one thing that you can't do nothing with, because America, EU, small hats can do nothing with Iran's ballistic missile technology, man. Okay, they can't do nothing. They got no answer for it. So that's one of the negotiation points with America is like, let's they want to talk about Iran, dismantling their ballistic missile program. Like, what, nigga? That would be stupid. So you want me to weaken myself so you can destroy me? Okay? So these negotiations, there's no real negotiation to be had. Okay? They might put something together symbolic. Okay? Iran might get a few sanctions lifted, if they can make Donald Trump look strong, okay, for the West. Because Iran know what it is. Russia and China know what it is. They don't care about America looking strong to Western media. They know what it is in real life. Okay, so they'll negotiate a deal to, get some sanctions lifted, which would be immediate relief, for the Iranian economy. And it make America look strong. Okay, they don't care about that because they know what it is in real life. You see, looking strong for Western media, that's only good for TikTok. Okay, but in real life, when it's time, all right, to lock up, none of the TikTok, the American Western media perception ain't gonna matter when it's time for these nations to lock up. Okay, so let's go here. There's another part further down. That's the last little part I want to get into, because Scott really, what I'm saying, because he makes some points, but then he get emotional. You can tell he get emotional about America getting their ass beat. Now he hate the small hats, okay, but he's
Whoa. What's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44. Guys, Nina just built
vulnerability of the Abraham Lincoln.
So pretty much, Scott Ritter, he goes into how that that if Iran destroys a aircraft carrier, then Iran could be nuked. Talking about you can't just destroy an aircraft carrier. You can't just destroy American aircraft carrier and walk away. Because he get emotional. Scott really be emotional when it comes to America being defeated. He gets emotional. So he goes on his little emotional thing, like if you destroy American aircraft carrier, you're gonna get nuked. Like that's gonna be the end of it. They're just like someone telling you I'm gonna slap you. Like that's the end of it. Like, nigga, I'm gonna slap you. Okay. They say that like that's the end. Okay. So America in the small has be saying, well, we'll nuke them. That's on the table. Okay. That's not gonna be the end of it though. You see? And then Jake, he gonna explain that, he gonna thoroughly explain it, man. So let's play this.
This isn't the Houthi. The Iranians have missiles that have been designed to take out an aircraft carrier. My advice to Iranians is don't do it. Don't do it. But if you do it, be prepared for the worst. But the United States is in the position of, if they take it out, yeah, maybe we blow Iran off the face of the earth. But now what's happened is the Iranians have proven a point that many people have been making for some time now, that the carrier is an obsolete weapon system that is just a sitting duck for any nation that has real capability, like China, like Russia. So, there, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, Garland, do you have any comments and thoughts about this? Because Scott just laid out some pretty terrifying stakes, nuclear stakes.
A couple of things, and I think what he said is very important to consider and to go deep into a little bit. Number one, what did China say? They said if anybody, and I forgot which one of the guys were, the foreign minister, whoever, say if somebody starts a war with us or attacks us, they'll get a war. If someone uses a nuclear weapon against us, we'll ensure they won't survive. So if you say, okay, they took out a carrier, I'm going to throw some nukes at one of their cities. That point, wherever, what you basically said is this: the U.S. Doctrine is this: if one of our carriers goes down, that's it for the world. We will end the world. We will make sure all 330 million Americans and everybody else die if we lose one carrier. Because that's essentially what it is. You start throwing nukes at a superpower, they're going to start throwing nukes back. And that's game, set, and match. We're all going to die. So that's the first part of it. That shows a certain level of weakness to say, I can stick a carrier out there and nobody's allowed to hit it. And so let's just hope everybody plays by those rules, or I'll swallow a suicide pill. And let's hope that, and it's a possibility. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Number two,
Yeah, and that's a sign of weakness, man. What sense that make? Okay, here it is. You traveling thousands of miles to my border to wage war with me. Okay, and you're doing it from your aircraft carrier, but I can't strike your aircraft carrier. And that's what I'm saying. All this military, this tough shit they be talking with America and Iran, I don't see it. America was that on paper, it's speculation now, but goddamn, what type of the game is that? So you can come to my borders with your aircraft carrier, strike me from those aircraft carriers, but if I return fire to the aircraft carrier, you gonna send a nuke. How weak is that? Okay, show you that America ain't built to fight no conventional war, man. Okay, America never just been strong conventionally, man. Since World War II, that was the last conventional war that America really had to get grimy with, get boots on the ground with. Okay, ever since then, America has operated through proxies and air superiority, man, and toppling governments. Okay, and the speculation of the capability of American military force because of everything that it has on paper, man. Okay, so just like he said, okay, you throw a nuke out there, well, you might as well inform 330 million Americans it's over. America just signed y'all birth certificate. You see? So this how it's gonna go, and this according to scriptures, man. Okay, so America and them small hats gonna be reckless over there in this war, and it's gonna get all them missiles sent back over here to America, man. That's how this finna go. Okay, this gonna finalize everything, man. Okay, so let's run this back to Jake, man. Yeah, because Scott was being emotional. You could tell Jake was responding to what Scott was saying. You know, I put the let me put this in the chat too. Okay. Yeah, Scott being emotional, man. So I'm gonna put this in the so you brothers, you know, y'all can watch the whole thing. You know, it's pretty good info, you know, all the way through. But y'all brothers can watch the whole thing. Well, you can start if you just want to start like at the 34-minute mark, you know, on forward. You kind of get this dialogue here. But let's play this.
Thanks.
A couple of things, and I think what he said is very important to consider and to go deep into a little bit. Number one, what did China say? They said if anybody, and I've watched, I forgot which one of the guys were, their foreign minister, whoever, say if somebody, you know, starts a war with us or attacks us, they'll get a war. If someone uses a nuclear weapon against us, we'll ensure they won't survive. So if you say, okay, they took out a carrier, I'm going to throw some nukes at one of their cities. That point, wherever, what you basically said is this: the U.S. Doctrine is this. If one of our carriers goes down, that's it for the world. We will end the world. We will make sure all 330 million Americans and everybody else die if we lose one carrier, because that's essentially what it is. You start throwing nukes at a superpower, they're going to start throwing nukes back, and that's game, set, and match. We're all going to die. So that's the first part of it. That shows a certain level of weakness to say, I can stick a carrier out there and nobody's allowed to hit it. And so let's just hope everybody plays by those rules, or I'll swallow a suicide pill. And let's hope that, and it's a possibility, let's hope that doesn't happen. Number two, you know, it's kind of like a person with self-defense training against edged weapons. You know, your instructor will say you're probably going to get cut and you might die, but go out like a soldier, right? That's what a lot of them say. You know, since it's an edged weapon, are very dangerous, and these are all the things you can do. But if somebody knows what they're doing, you're probably going to get cut and you might die, but make sure, try to take them with you. In other words, fight for all you're worth. Only fight if you're cornered. Here's my point. You know, if we say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and Iran says, we're going to throw everything we have at you. If you so much as throw a rock at us, we're throwing everything we have at you. And you have to say, well, they probably won't throw anything at our aircraft carriers because we might nuke them. But if they've said, we've said our prayers and our religion believes in martyrdom, and it is what it is, you throw that every ship you have, not just your aircraft carrier, there will be salvos of missiles coming at anything we see with an American flag on it. It's going to get 100 drones at it and a salvo of 12 missiles, every single one of them. So that's done. Every one of your bases done. We've told you, if you fight us, you may nuke us, you may do whatever, but you're going to be so ragged when you leave out of here. Here's my point. As I said earlier, it'll end the empire. I don't mean that they could like blow our cities. I mean, if the U.S. takes that kind of an action, if the U.S. takes that kind of pain, how the heck, what do you say to the American people then? Oh, by the way, American people, there's nuclear fallout all over the Middle East, so no one can access that oil anymore. So you better get used to see what it looks like in Kiev. Yeah, that's what it's going to look like. You're going to be frozen and freezing. You're going to be starving. Your lives are going to be moved back into the Stone Ages because of so the America as you knew it, it's all over. We're going back into the Stone Ages. We made that decision because we attacked Iran first, and they had every right to fight back. And yeah, we defeated them in a suicidal kind of way. So you're looking at an empire that's basically saying, you know, we might have to commit suicide over this. And the American people ain't on board with that. So it's a very dangerous situation. But the actions of the United States, particularly in a region full of oil, you start throwing nukes around and the fallout, Pakistan's got nukes. What is the rest of the world going to say if there's nuclear fallout drifting God only knows where? It could drift all over Europe, Russia, anywhere. So it's a very bad situation. That's again why I agree with Scott's first assessment. We could both be wrong. I don't think, particularly with Trump, I don't think Trump is going to pull the trigger on this. I don't think, not he may not be the one making the decisions, but for the sake of argument, let's say that he has at least a lot of input or he's making the decisions. If you look at his record, he'll beat up on the little guys. Donald Trump doesn't want to engage in a long war that he's going to take a lot of heat off. So I don't think he does it. Or all the things that we're talking are horrific, unthinkable potential repercussions. Again, I don't think Trump does it for the discussion that we're having.
And it's not unthinkable, it's prophecy, you know. And if Trump doesn't do it now, you know, if America doesn't go ahead and do it now, eventually they are. Now, me personally, I think Friday, Trump is going to walk away with something that makes him look strong so he can take back to the American people, okay, and they can recalibrate, all right, this war with Iran. You know, they can go and really sit down and draw this thing out, what this war with Iran is going to look like, okay, and factoring in Russia and China as well, because this is the final war. You can't just go into this like Venezuela and Syria. Like, you got everybody got to go into this one, okay, at the top of their game, okay, which is not going to matter in the end game because the House Shah is coming to obliterate everything, man. Okay, so yeah, the American, all right, the Americans and the small hats are going to get the American population vaporized by nukes. What they finna do over there in this war, they're going to get American citizens vaporized by nukes, man. Okay, so let's go here. And for the American military, it's going to end bad. All right, and this is all prophecy, man. Okay, so let's go here to Jeremiah, because America is walking into this trap. Okay, the Lord just has a trap set for America to walk right into. Okay, and these small hats are just dragging them along. So it's gonna, like I say, tomorrow be interesting, man. You know, and they in Turkey, you know, I think Turkey about 7-8 hours ahead of us. Okay, so you know, early morning maybe. All right, you might hear something. We'll see. I kind of look into it. But let's go here to Jeremiah 50:21. It says, "Go up against the land of Marathon," okay, Marathaim, okay, which is Marathayim in the Hebrew, which is what? Rebellion. Okay, a double rebellion. Even against it and against the inhabitants of Pekod, all right, which in the Hebrew is Pakohad, all right, which goes into what? Waste. It says it goes into visitation. All right, so the Lord is going to visit the double rebellion, okay, of the American empire, man. Okay, and you American citizens are guilty as hell with America, man. Okay, just because you posted some memes about Epstein and you got these talking points dealing with the Epstein and you're covering, you know, the Epstein list, that doesn't exonerate you from your wickedness. Okay, you're going to be obliterated with the empire. Okay, it says, "Waste and utterly destroy after them, said the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, and do according to all that I command thee," man. So these nations are operating on the commandments of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. Okay, the Lord got these nations, because it's not about Iran, Russia, China, America. It's about the will of the Lord. The reason these nations are geared up and equipped with what they need, all right, for this war is because they're fulfilling the commands of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. They're fulfilling the commandments of prophecy, man. That's what it's about. Okay, it says, "A sound of battle is in the land and great destruction." You know, and you see how that Jake was talking, like, look, okay, once you throw one nuke, it's over. Okay, people think that they just got this nuclear option and that's the end. No, well, it is the end. Okay, it's gonna be the complete end, like he said, of empire, of American empire, of Edomite empire, when this devil throws that nuke. Okay, they keep, you know, talking about the nuke like that's just the beginning. Okay, that just seals the end of this thing, man. Okay, so it says, "A sound of battle is in the land of the great destruction." Now it's nuclear talk. Okay, these nations are already talking nuclear, man, because it's gonna go conventional for so long, but then it's gonna go nuclear, man. Okay, it says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Okay, and it's gonna be this third world war and the will of the Lord. Okay, it's the power of the Lord. You see, it's the Most High that controls the mind of men to fulfill His will. So everything is accredited back to the will of the Heavenly Father, what He wants to play out. Okay, it says, I have laid a snare for thee. Thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art afraid and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Okay, and America has been the centerpiece of rebellion in the earth against the Most High, against Yahushua, against righteousness, man. Okay, America has been the platform used by the elites to forward wickedness in the earth, man. Okay, and that's going to be addressed through judgment. Okay, so the Lord has America walking into this trap. You see, it's like after tomorrow, it might be an offering. And these devils, I say Trump gonna come back, waving, whatever deal they make. Okay, as if he's just this powerful negotiator. Okay, it's all cap. Okay. Or you can see, Iran, he walk away with nothing and Trump leave with egg on his face again. Then he gonna, because if they don't make the deal, he done already said if they don't make a deal, then he gonna test that theory about this regional war. Okay. Trump said they don't make the deal, he gonna test that theory about regional war, man. Okay, so the Lord got this nigga in the trick bag, man, till he gotta fulfill the will of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, and it's his goddamn pride that put him in the trick bag every time. Okay, it said the Lord have opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation, for this is the work of the Lord of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. So the Lord is getting ready to open up his armory, man, which are those nukes, man. All right, to wage this final war against you heathens, man. You Edomites and you heathen nations, man. Okay, this is where everything is a build up to. So I say tomorrow can go, different ways. Okay, like I say the devil, he go and get some type of deal, that he can boast about how strong he was and negotiating. He made them come to the table, and because then he can say we put them aircraft carriers out there. Because this is what you call gunboat politics. Lord will, we'll see how it go tomorrow, what time they do the thing. But eventually we'll get into it, Alvarado, but this is what gunboat politics is. Maybe, we can go into that depending on how this deal go, But so this devil can say, well, look, we put them aircraft carriers out there. They was intimidated. They was forced to make a deal, That's the narrative they're going to run with if they get a deal. Okay. But then it makes them be able to fall back from attacking right now, but still look strong. Okay, or they get no deal. Now, what you gonna do, Trump? Because you said you gonna test that theory if they don't do a deal. So either way it go, it's all playing into the will of the Lord, man. However it go. Okay, so yeah, that's the point. I leave it there, So let's see. All right. So Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you sisters edified once again. I'm gonna give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Makakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders, the GMS, rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful. Shalom.